Now today, coming back to writing skills, I'll just mention some of the wind-up speaking skills which you did yesterday and day before rather, and tell you which are the topics which you can take up for speaking skills. Would you like to note them down? Yeah, please write to, so please
Yes.
note them down somewhere so that you can, do them in your class. So one could be debate. We're all aware of that. You can give them a very neutral topic. Okay. Like I gave you plastics. So how can we ensure that we actually ban plastics? What are the methodologies? What are the steps we can take to do that? And then we can also give them topics which are, I told you, as a global citizen, pertaining to contemporary topics like war. Is it necessary? Can we do without it? Yes. Or something like, do we really need to save our planet? If yes, how? So anything that, we feel that the children need to know, you can, and of course, pros and cons, we'll have we can have a full-fledged discussion on those topics. And there are some techniques to carry these topics forward, which I'll be sharing with you next Friday, okay? Then of course, extempore, which you can have it at any time. You can have a list of topics handy, in your bag or in your mind or in your mobile or wherever, you can have those ready. And they could be something like, if I was the prime minister, something basic which they would like to, which all the children are familiar with. They have been doing for years, and something general also, again. And if I were to, change the world, these are the things I want to change. Or if I was granted 3 wishes, you could give something more to do with their creativity, rather than the general ones. Okay. So you could take up extempore in the class, then role play is another one. Third one is role play. Yes. You could have a dialogue, exchange of dialogues. That is another very good effective speaking skill. And you can have that at any time in the class. It need not have a specific time period. If you have any classes or sessions allotted for activities in your school, that's wonderful. If you don't have, you can take out some time. I told you, maybe not just before the exams, but till your exams start, you can have those whenever you want. I take it up on Fridays, mostly Friday afternoons, like I told you. Yeah, I keep one day aside as far as possible. I try to take up some skill in the class, okay, pertaining to the language acquisition, LSRW skills. Then you could, for the children who've just come from 5th to 6th, okay, they still have to develop their language skills and get tuned to the new way. So you could even do show and tell. It's a very familiar concept. They've been doing it in their primary classes. You can reinforce and talk about something at their level, not, not a small toy or something that they, would like to speak about. So show and tell can also be incorporated depending on your class level. Then just a minute. Okay, just a minute. Again, they have to speak on a topic continuously. It need not be like, in one breathless way, but around 1 minute, so that they have the time frame in mind and they're able to list down the ideas in that particular stipulated time frame. Okay, that's the idea. So you can have, any of you have been trying all these exercises, all these activities? Is there anybody who's been trying in their school?
Role play like
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. If you've been doing this, that's really nice. If you haven't, try to see where you can find time and do it. You can if you really want to. Okay.
Actually, this role play helps even the star child
Yes.
in start
Yes.
to
They feel very
know
important. Yeah.
yeah.
There
When they are
might be, yeah, there might be some children who are still reluctant, in your class. Give them some responsibility while the class is doing this, to keep the score or to, make sure that the class is disciplined, or to, have some
Cleanliness.
captions ready for the topic. Hold a placard. If you've decided one day before, you can even ask them to get some props. Then for the 8th and onwards, you can even have something like a seminar. You could give them a topic like a group discussion, okay? And you could have some children speak about a particular topic, and it can be as simple as global warming or something, which they would like to speak about. You can ask them. And then, of course, mono acting is also one very effective way. Yeah. Like I told you, if you give them a chance, one boy came up with an excellent commentary. I still remember his name. Janika, you must be familiar with Amit Pramod. Okay, he came up with a cricket commentary, and it was wonderful. I even made him speak it in the assembly for the sports news section. I told him, you pitch in with your commentary, and all the teachers and students appreciated it so much. So we never know the child's caliber. We feel that this is important and this is very apt for the child's age group, but we don't know their caliber actually, because in a class of 40 it's very difficult to judge at times. And anyway, we should not be judgmental. So give them a chance. You tell them topics and see how they come out with their inputs. So that's another very nice way to help them speak. Okay. Then of course, story chain you're all familiar with. We've done it also yesterday in class, the day before in this session. And for as you go deal with the higher classes, some of you might be climbing the ladder or whatever, taking up higher classes, and some of you are taking 9th and 10th in this group also. You could even start with the mock interview. Ask them to frame questions, or you could give them some basic questions which they could be asked, because now CBSE is moving towards having a common exam and common interview if they want to pursue studies after 12. So they should be knowing how to, face an interview panel, and what kind of questions could be asked. Okay, so that's another way of helping them speak up. While we are at it, I'll just give you a few topics on writing skills as well, because class, and then I'll be sharing the formats which Salah ma'am was kind enough to write. I'll be sharing that as a Word document in the group, today itself. So you could start with writing and
Okay, ma'am.
speaking a speech for writing skills. It's very important for the child to even write his own speech, his or her own speech. Okay. So one is the speech, and eventually they do have to speak in the assembly. I think you all have assemblies at your school.
Yes, ma'am. We have.
We do have students speaking, giving a speech on a particular topic. So train them in their class that any child, and sometimes, in fact, most of the times it's not possible for us to have all the children on stage, right? So make your class, a safe place for them to practice speech, and they should feel confident and come up with their own ideas. So that's one way of, developing speaking skills, writing skills. And then eventually you can ask the child to speak as well. So that goes on for speaking skill as well. Then writing articles. I think some of you must be having them as a part, having these topics, some of the topics as a part of your assessment as well, and a part of your composition, the writing skills. So if you don't have, you can add these. And if you have also, you could give these topics to all the classes you're handling. If it's not there for 6, you can give. Sometimes we eliminate some, add some more. Like this time for 7th, we added autobiography.
Autobiography.
We did not, so which we did not have till now. So I'll just give you all those. So article writing is the second one. Are you all making a note of it somewhere?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yes,
then of course paragraph is always been there. They've been writing paragraphs from the time they've started doing the writing skills. Then diary entry. You have to try diary entry?
Yes, diary entry we have.
Yeah. So
Yes.
that is one more. And another one could be writing formal and informal letters.
Yes, ma'am. We
Yeah,
have.
letters to the editor and letters to your uh, close friends or cousins or family, anybody in the family or close friends. So informal letters and
Mm,
formal letters are format and all has to be done very well, introduced very well.
mm.
Then we could have bio sketch. Are you aware of bio sketch?
Ma'am, we have
We
biosketch.
give them,
Uh,
the uh, details of any celebrity or any person who's known to them or they've heard about, or any political leader or any freedom fighter or any sports personality, and
mm,
then ask them to, we give the details in the
mm,
chronological order, and then we ask them to write about that personality. Yes.
mm,
Then these are part of short compositions actually. Advertisement, biosketch, and notice writing is what we do for the short
mm,
compositions, which carry a little lesser marks than the long one.
mm,
So that is advertisement.
mm.
Advertisement you must be doing. All of you do.
Advertisement?
Yeah. And that
Yes,
could
ma'am.
be under different categories. One could be, of course, for a product. Then there could be some event. Okay. So see what your class is more familiar with, and you could take up both in your classes. Then story writing. Again, you can have story writing with hints and without hints. That is, give them a topic. You could give them some help words or help them, uh, with some new words.
Yes.
Mm,
Their vocabulary, they can incorporate those words in their writing skills.
Yes.
It's okay to facilitate them and help them out a little bit, especially for 6th and 7th. 8th
mm,
onwards, we expect them to, do that on their own. But there also, if you feel your class needs it, there's no harm in giving the hints and help words and, difficult words as in vocabulary to build a vocabulary. Give them some words. Sridevi ma'am, you want to say something?
Because I'm in a class now.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. Sending mail, email, that
And
practice.
yeah, we have, we have that for 8th standard. I've also got the format in that.
Sending
Blog
and
writing also is there.
and
Writing
also,
blog. Yeah.
ma'am. Mm, mm,
Then story writing, essay writing, and as you said, emails
mm,
and writing blogs also. Now that we are on the, we've accepted and embraced technology, we could encourage them to write blogs also. Yes, again, that has to be filtered and checked by you, and then they can probably post it if at all they are under your supervision. Okay, so it's a good idea to discuss whatever topic you've given them in a detailed manner so that the children feel, equipped and confident enough to write on their own. Then to check for their grammar, it's very important for you to, not make them conscious and put loads of red marks in the notebook, but you could probably ask him to read it out to you and correct him wherever possible. What happens is when we just keep underlining, we kind of intimidate the child and he feels that he's not good enough. He or she finds it,
mm,
they kind of lose their confidence and they don't feel too encouraged to write the next time or present it to you the next time. So they start shirking it and they're avoiding it. So a good idea is to avoid red marks, just hint it with a small, slight red bracket or a mark, telling them that this part of the writing skill has
mm,
some grammatical error. If possible, correct it on the side in a very subtle way.
mm.
Okay, don't make the child very conscious about his uh, accuracy when they are doing creative writing specifically,
Okay, ma'am.
because it kills their creativity and kind of puts them back in their shell for some of them. And this will happen especially with the slow learners and the ones who have not been very fluent in the language, very proficient in the language skills, right? So be a little more sensitive to that when you're correcting. Of course, we have to correct them where we have to, okay, where we need to. but then do it in a more sensitive and a more subtle way, right? In fact, a good idea is if the child has been making too many mistakes, call him aside, ask him to correct, read it aloud and say what should be the right tense or the word or whatever you feel is missing. If you feel he's made some major bungalow, tell him to read it, identify the mistake, and do it on his own. That's a very good way of self-correction, and he'll also be conscious. Next time before giving it to you, he'll read it once and then try to figure out if he's made any major blunders, right? So try to do that, especially when you're correcting writing skills. Okay, because that's the child's own creativity. So our idea is to bring it out, not to curb it and make him conscious and you know you understand what I'm saying. So you do. All of us face that. We all have a mixed group in our class. It's not that all of them are brilliant or all of them are excellent in the language skills. We do have mixed students, isn't it? So be a little more careful when you're correcting those pieces of art. For them, it's like the creativity, right? It's a piece of art for them. And we keep underlining that. So, just be a little, this I, in fact, I also learned that in one of the workshops I went. It was by, I think, Mr. Paul, who he's written the Oxford books. So he presented a very shabby piece of writing on screen, and he told all of us to give that child marks. Kantimati ma'am, just mute yourself because your voice is echoing. You can unmute when you want to share something, ma'am. Okay. So he presented a very nice, very well written. I mean, the creativity levels were excellent. The child had written very well, but in the shabbiest handwriting you can imagine. Okay. So he said, he asked each one of us, he said, how many marks will you allot this child? So many teachers came up with 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 5 maximum. Me and there was another teacher who said, I would probably give them 8 or 9. He said, why? I said, because I'm testing his creativity and that's excellent. So he said, that's the way to correct. So I learned this point from one of our mentors, that we have no right to be judgmental. The child has written what he wanted to write and he's written it in the best of language, and his ideas are excellent. So why should we judge him on the base? Of course, we have to tell them that you have to present neatly and write neatly. But then just check what we are assessing the student for. When it's writing skill, then you tell him, and then of course you can please write neatly or present neatly. He will take that in a positive way and try to improvise on his presentation next time. But do encourage him and appreciate where you need to, right? So that's the way we'll bring out the best in our students. Fine? Do you all agree with me? Okay, so then advertisement, notice writing, autobiography, story writing, and essay writing. Okay, these could be some of the writing. Dialogue writing. Yes. You can do dialogue writing as well. Role play, that is. I just in fact came across this advertisement where the children are being taught how to write scripts also for plays. There's a workshop in this. I have logged into a couple of sites where they have a workshop for writing scripts for a play. So you could even have a team which can write a play for your annual day.
They are writing verses to me.
Verses also, poetry writing again, and short stories like I told you. Documentaries. The list is endless, ma'am. Travelogues, itinerary, like I told you earlier, which you both these exercises you all have to do on Friday, next Friday. So it's up to your imagination also, ma'am. You could try all these techniques or anything else that you feel will be useful for our students, and you can share it in the group also if you try something new. Yes. So coming to my presentation. Yes, ma'am. Anybody wants to say something?
I collected
Yes, ma'am.
advertisements from paper and it up and circulated in the class.
Oh, great. That's nice, ma'am. Okay, so I have this small video for you.
Uh,
Okay, I'll also
some more, I mean, explanation of blog and email. Ma'am.
I'll do that, ma'am. I'll be doing
Oh,
that. Okay,
okay.
so please listen to this. See this video. In fact, there's
Okay.
lots of listening here. Watch this video and come up with some theme words which you feel suit the video. So this exercise will help you, you know, with the vocabulary part where you can give them, you know, to pick up the words with same meaning, synonyms and antonyms as well. So try to, you know, do that in your class. You could give them a theme like, you know, something that they're very familiar with, like an amusement park or a restaurant or, you know, wherever they go very often, a park, a beach, you know, a holiday, which they've gone for in the holidays. So help them, you know, assimilate their thoughts and put them on paper or speak to you about those theme words, okay, which, you know, tell you about the same theme. So this is a video. 1 minute. Can you see it?
No, ma'am.
1 second. Um,
It's visible, ma'am.
1 minute. Yeah. Can you see this now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
After this, I have the PPT on writing skills, which most of you are familiar with. You just check the theme words now. Check the adjectives. See whatever grammar points you can make while saying. Pick up the keywords. Okay, so this is a very short video. See, all of you got excited and you were all brimming with ideas, isn't it? That's the way to, you know, bring out that enthusiasm in your class also. So give them some tranquility. Excellent way, Rashmi ma'am. So, so many words come to our mind, right? And you have nailed it perfectly well. So this is a way you can inspire your children, motivate your children also to write. So how many theme words have come on their own? You know, I didn't have to do anything, isn't it? So ask them basic questions. How did you feel? Did you, one boy, when I showed them my class this video, they said, "Ma'am, my eyes feel so nice and cool," because they are tired of seeing the screen, you know, and that causes a little irritation in some students, some of us also. So when you see such calm sights, you feel good, isn't it? You feel rejuvenated, refreshed, restored. So, you know, you can show them some neutral videos like this, close to nature. I even do a nature meditation. I'll do that with you tomorrow. Okay. Something along the same lines. Okay. So let me, yes, ma'am. Devi ma'am, you want to say something?
No, ma'am, no, by mistake it happened, ma'am.
No issues.
Sorry.
Kantimati ma'am, please mute if you know how to mute. I don't know whether you're sure. Yeah, I have muted you, ma'am. Now unmute only when you want to speak. Otherwise, there's a lot of echo. Okay, Kantimati ma'am. Don't be scared. When you want to speak, you just put it in the group. I'll unmute you. Okay. Or you can unmute and just remember to mute again. That's the way, sadly, we work on the on this platform. Okay, so just have a quick look at the PPT, which again I'll be sharing with you. Okay, I kept last half an hour for the PPT today, so exactly we're on time. I'm happy to see that. So have your students, now these are writing skills. So this is all be Like one of you had asked, how can we help, them with the writing skills? It has to be guided till 8th standard. There's no harm. In the class, when you're introducing a writing skill, or for that matter, any LSRW skill, please guide them wholeheartedly. Don't, feel that let them do. Of course, let them do. The ones who have to do on their own will do. But the ones who need your help, provide that essential help so that they also understand how to do it perfectly well. Okay. So allow your students to work on an assignment in pairs, group, or as a whole. And remember, they learn a lot from their peers. It's like, almost 50-50. They learn half the things from you and half from their peers. Okay, so that's why they were lacking in their learning, abilities when it was during the pandemic, when they had to sit at home. They had no peer learning, right? So that's very important. So ask them to brainstorm their ideas. It's very important. You can't just write a topic and tell them to write. You can do it probably the next day. The day you're introducing the topic and the day you're giving them a guided writing skill, please do that as a means to help them out and motivate them, inspire them, excite them with the ideas that they are motivated to write. Similar to sharing ideas out loud, this method gives the students to think better about how to structure an essay or any of the writing skills and share their viewpoints. Okay, and it's also a good idea to have peer feedback. You could ask some of the one or two good ones, one or two average ones, one or two even below average ones to come and read out their work. When you bring about that conscious level of exhibiting their work, which eventually you will have to assess, it motivates them to do better than what they would have otherwise done. So tell them, I can ask anyone to come out and read it. That will, one, ensure that all of them participate and write properly, and two, they will try to do their best. Okay, so that's one technique that we teachers can adopt if you haven't been doing it. Second, okay, 1 minute. The first one is how to tell if your student is struggling with his writing. Like one of you asked about the slow learners. So would Sridevi ma'am, you want to say something?
No, ma'am. But still
Okay,
the symbol is there, ma'am. I think
okay,
so.
no problem. Leave it, ignore it. Okay, ma'am, you read out this slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is very important for all of us because all of us are so bothered about the slow learners and the ones who are finding it difficult. Yes, ma'am, you're right. You
Yes.
read, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. How to tell if your student is struggling with writing? There are more signs that your student is struggling with their writing than poor sentence level mechanics. Whether you are a new teacher or not, you know that the signs of a struggling students go beyond the quality and grading of their assignment. Therefore, to improve their writing, you need to address each area. You can identify a student that is struggling with their writing by paying close attention to their work and how they behave in the classroom. Many students who struggle exhibit such signs as poor spelling and grammar, lack of organized thoughts and structure, and unwillingness to participate in an assignment. Sometimes because the students don't feel they are prepared enough to complete it. Now that we have covered the issues and how to spot them, let's figure out how to prevent them and provide students with a positive fix that will increase their writing efficiency.
So, ma'am, who was asking me about the slow learners? One
In
teacher,
Malathi.
Malti
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So, Malti
I,
ma'am, this is an answer to your question, right?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
Yeah,
got it.
I know,
Ah,
ma'am. All of us are so concerned because we feel that all our students should do well, isn't it?
yes,
That's our
ma'am.
common goal. So it's easier for us to identify these children. The minute we look at their work, in the first 1 month, we know who are the slow learners in our class, isn't it? If we have a tab of all their writing skills. So it's a good idea to begin your class with writing a paragraph on how they spend their vacations. We used to do that every year, isn't it? That kind of gives us a general idea on how our class level is. And then you could also write them now. This time you can try travelogue. Yeah, and wherever they've been, they can write a few lines about that place. What was the best thing they saw, they did, they ate, they traveled, something spectacular that they want to share with the class, which they felt. One boy told me, ma'am, he was going abroad somewhere in the aeroplane. And he said, ma'am, I saw a very unique thing on the left side of my aeroplane, it was dark, and on the right side, the sun was shining. So he was probably in a different time zone where one point it was day and it was suddenly night, on the other side. He was probably at that juncture. So that was something fascinating, and he shared that in the class. Anything that they want to share, encourage them. First 2-3 days, they do give us time to get acquainted with the class and the children. You could try this exercise, Okay. So the second one I've already told. The third slide is classroom activities to improve writing. Okay, we generally have a lack of ideas. The children struggle because though the ideas might be there in their mind, but they are not able to put that in paper. They don't know how to formulate sentences, how to do, justice to their work, how to find, words which will help them put their thoughts in paper. So if they come to you, or if you identify the children, help them to speak to you about their ideas, and then help them with the sentences. So you could write like that. Once or twice, there's no harm in writing a short paragraph on the board as well. They feel empowered if they've been able to write something nice on their own, isn't it? So you can provide that help and aid them and guide them into, it's like a guided composition. We had it when we were small, isn't it? As our teachers used to write a piece of writing skill or whatever they wanted us to write, give us a model writing skill or a sample one. And then along those lines, we used to change here and there and write, isn't it? But now we expect our students to write on their own. So instead of writing, if you're doing 10 in a year, instead of writing all 10, you could write about probably 2 or 3 and expect the rest of those to be done by the students themselves, right? But help them wherever you feel, because those are the years when they're, evolving in their language skills. So if you help them in the middle school level, then life becomes a little more easy for them 9th onwards. Otherwise, they're struggling then. So there's no harm. See, for the assessment, they have to do on their own. There's not the go. For the exams, you're not going to go and help them. But in the class, if you do, and if by some stroke of luck a similar topic comes, then the child will write so well on his own. And even otherwise, certain words and phrases pertaining to that topic, you can write on the board. It's maybe a little extra work at your end, but it'll go a long way in helping the student, have a set of ideas in his head, which are there on the paper. Right? So you can help them, ma'am. Have your students write collaboratively. So allow your students to work on an assignment in pairs or groups. This we've already done. I think this, yeah. How to develop elementary students' writing skills in a fun way. Now this goes for 1 to 8, because 1 to 8 is considered as primary only in according to CBSE. And with the new way of how they've distributed the class levels, till 8, they need to be guided at times, for certain topics. So young students, especially those in the elementary school, don't benefit from long attention spans. Their mind is not conditioned to listen to you for more than 20 minutes. Okay, in fact, a 2015 study found that adults have an attention span that lasts for about 8 seconds. I hope you're all with me. That's the reason I'm trying to put in so many activities, so that you all don't feel bored and your attention span doesn't go to like, okay, switch off the camera and do what I want. When she finishes, we'll leave the meeting. I hope none of you are doing like that. Yes, that's the reason I keep asking you to switch on your cameras in between. Okay, so this would have happened with most of us during online classes. We don't know what the students are doing, right? And we keep wondering, why hasn't the child been able to write when I spoke about the same thing 10 times? Yes.
What is very interesting, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I wanted to hear that. I feel I like to, attend interesting sessions. I don't like the same kind of a monotonous, kind of tone. So I feel somewhere we need to keep your interest alive. Yeah. So keeping your students engaged while teaching them better writing skills is no small task. So we all are doing a Herculean task already of, getting them to write and making them understand what we want them to go about it. So give your students a sentence starter. Like I told you, give them some, hints a prompt or an idea, a situation like sir wrote, you know, what would you probably do if you go to the doctor? He'll probably ask him how has he been, and then ask him what the doctor will ask you about the ailment, and then you'll probably give you some suggestions on how you can improvise on your lifestyle, take that particular medicine, and come back for a follow-up. You know, these are the kind of general steps of conversation when you talk to a doctor, isn't it? At a general level. So you could tell the students, see, these are the levels you need to incorporate in your dialogue. Then you allow them to come up with their creative skills. Or even if the child has deterred a little, gone off track, it's okay. Bring them back gently. That's his way. There's nothing right or wrong. This again, remember Tare Zameen Pe. We all have to become incarnations of the teacher in that movie. Yes, the way he handled even the most difficult situation where even the parents didn't believe in the child, which is so sad, isn't it? So here our role becomes enormous where we pitch in and bring out the best in our students. It's okay, regardless of their family background. Yes. So give your students a writing warm up. Allow your students to write, freely write for a few minutes. Encourage them to ignore structure. See, that's why I'm saying don't pay too much attention on grammar and structure. When I said creative writing, it means creativity only. Okay, like somebody had pointed out, what was it? Rapid fire. Ma'am had written something, told something, no? Ma'am, was it
Yes,
rapid
ma'am.
fire?
Yes, ma'am. That's
Correct.
one
Something
separate
like
one.
free write. Okay?
Yes.
A
Yes,
free hand at, expressing themselves. Doesn't matter if he picks up words. That's the best way. Tell them to write words. Like how I told you now, I didn't tell you was the place, rejuvenating, refreshing. I told you to pick out words. Did you notice that? I said write some words which relate to the place, isn't it? So I ignored the grammar and the accuracy there totally. I just invited ideas. Yes, did you notice that? That is why I did the exercise before I did this PPT. So we have to encourage the student to bring out his creativity, so that those juices, like they say, the creative juices should start flowing the minute you talk about the word composition or the word activity. The word activity suddenly brings that spark in their eyes. Yes, ma'am, we are ready. Have you seen that? So if you use your terminology in a way that ignites that passion in them, you have done your job well. Don't you feel? Yes. The minute you say, okay, tomorrow we'll do this activity, be ready with this. You see how many queries will come. Ma'am, what should we do? What should we bring? What should we write? What should we say? How can we say? You will ask, they will come to you in the lunch break also and ask. Have you noticed that? And the minute you say, okay, tomorrow there's a test, half of them will say, okay, we're not, trying to bunk a little, how they can deviate and coax you into not giving them. Okay, so free writing is an excellent tactic for creating and for getting the creative juices going, right? So that's the whole idea of writing skills, right? So that they understand the topic, how I introduce this theme verse to you. Okay, like if let's do an oral exercise quickly. Now, if I say restaurant, what are the words which come to your mind? In today's day, hygiene. Isn't that the first thing we would like to see? Whether the restaurant is maintaining its, standards or no. Whether it's a dirty place, where is it situated? Is it behind some dump yard? Is it behind attracting flies? Isn't it? Then the kind of food quality, the spice level, the service, the taste, of course, matters a lot. So what are the kind of theme words that you expect from a child to tell? Okay, so this is exactly what I said. Ignore certain things and concentrate only and only on its creative levels. Okay, then disorganized and lack of structure is fine. Organize assignments and include visual aids instead of making students write a 5-paragraph essay at once. Break each part into sections Provide students with graphic breakdown of each section that includes helpful hints for writing and structure. So give him enough hints and material to write in small paragraphs over a period of time. Don't load them with too much that they lose interest. That's the whole idea. Okay. Provide models of good writing. You could do that from their own peers or read something which you've preserved from past years, or even given your own inputs. If you have done something in that on that particular topic, if you have something to share, you can even share that. Okay. So provide them with some or tell them to read a small a short story book or a short story where you feel you want them to observe the writing techniques of that particular author. Okay. So that's one very good way of teaching them how to write properly. Then error correction, as I told you, error correction and syntax go a long way in improvising their sentence structure. Give them a few exercises every week. Pick up any paragraph and I tell them to do this. I tell them jumble words and give me. So when a child is talking in haphazard manner, I tell them, okay, now copy this sentence. I tell him to come and write the sentence which is spoken on the board, and I tell him or somebody else to correct it. You don't have to do anything. Everything is there in front of you. So the child becomes conscious enough to learn and understand what he has to speak the next time. So without scolding, without pulling up, without embarrassing, you have brought the point across. Yeah. And make sure nobody makes fun of him. Right? Just tell them we all make mistakes, and if anybody makes fun, that's it. Then the child will never be a part of my activity group. So, they also realize and they try to help each other. Because some children have that tendency to make, bully each other and make fun. It's normal. That's the way they feel that they can, impose their supremacy. But let's not encourage that. And clap for the child who has had the courage to come and write a wrong sentence on the board also, and accepted criticism in the right way. So encourage that, and you will see the others also falling into line, right? So if you are firm about it and give that child due respect and don't pull him up for whatever is done, it's okay. He's struggling to learn. That's your job to teach him. We are there for that, isn't it? And I'm sure by the time he reaches 12, if that's the strategy, he will do wonders. So the idea is to bring out again, help them shed all their inhibitions and bring out the best in our children. I'm going on repeating that line. Yes. So give your students a toolbox. Now, what is a toolbox? I don't mean the toolbox which was used in the bicycle in good repair. That was useless. Yes. Give them a good, substantial toolbox with all the tools that they need to write, with the proper introduction, help words, logical sequence. Now, here, one thing I would like to mention, putting their ideas into first of all, randomly, that's okay. Even if I give you some writing skill right now, we'll all be lost for words. I can assure you. In our group of 15 or whatever we are, hardly one or two will have the ability to write bang on. Am I right? Including me. Suddenly, if I'm given some writing skill, it'll take me some time to formulate my ideas. Am I right, Malti ma'am? You agree with me?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we are lost for words at this age, when we are asked to write some, paragraph or some writing skill for our school magazine, we take, so many days to decide and so many days to, formulate our ideas, or we try to shirk it initially. No, ma'am, we have so much work. We can't do. Yes. We are not very receptive to criticism because we don't like to be judged. When we don't like being English teachers at this age, how can we expect our children to be perfect? They're not. Whether it's a DAV or EKBS or whichever school, Jayanti Public School, our students are not perfect. None of us are. Let's accept that with a little humility and help them go along. Yeah. So give them a toolbox, brainstorm ideas. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And,
Yes, ma'am.
a writing toolbox and include anything you think may help struggling students. So that answers your question very well, Malti ma'am, again. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's
And
our
give them-
duty to bring the children up now, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
See, the ones who are good. They don't need our help. We need the help to bring up the lesser ones to that level.